Kennedy has loved doing gymnastics since she was about 3 years old. And in, I guess, about late March, she started getting hurt doing pretty simple stunts that she'd always done in gymnastics. And she'd start crying at gymnastics, saying she didn't want to be there, which was really abnormal for her. And she also started getting these on and off again fevers, where she'd have a fever, it would be really low grade for a day or two. We'd take her to the doctor, they'd say, everything looks fine. And the third time it happened, they ran blood work and they looked at her hemoglobin number and pretty much said right away, something's really wrong. You need to pack up a bag. You're going to go to VCU for a few days. Within the first 24 hours of being at VCU, we were told her specific diagnosis was acute lymphoblastic leukemia, B cell.
So, basically just like that, it goes from normal to chaos. And seeing her getting wheeled down to the ER, with her stuffed animals in her bed, and she's going down to get the port put in and spinal taps and stuff and all the stuff that you've never heard of really before, and you're getting all this information and it's just overwhelming and it's tough to, see that, nobody's had to go through that.
Explaining to a 7-year-old, in the next couple weeks you're going to lose all your hair and you're not able to go over your friends' houses anymore, and we don't know when we're going home from the hospital. That was definitely a rough time for us.
Yeah.
She was really scared, she was crying, so a lot of it was just trying to sit in bed with her and hold her and try to make it be okay, but it wasn't really okay.
Right. You want it to be you instead?
And you hear the word cancer and you don't know, is she even going to survive this? Is this, and what's her life look like after this? Is she going to get to go back to a normal life?
When we first met Kennedy, poor little thing, she was just scared of everything, and rightfully so. She's little, we're bringing her into the clinic, we're asking her to get stuck and poked and prodded, and she was just always anxious and scared and wouldn't make eye contact with you, wouldn't say 2 words to you. I think the first time I actually got 2 words out of her was when I asked her, they were gonna go for lunch afterwards, and I was like, what are you gonna get for lunch? Where are you gonna go? And she's like, oh, McDonald's. I'm gonna get a Happy Meal. And so that was the first time she said anything. So, sometimes just finding the kids' niche and where they are and things that make them comfortable can be the first step to building on that relationship.
Kennedy was really scared. The first thing they do when you get there is they access your port, which is a needle coming right at you and being stuck into your chest. And Katie just sat there and held her hand through it. And then she's like, as soon as this is over, we're gonna go to Treasure Box and you're gonna get to pick out a toy.
Then I was lucky enough to go in with Rich one day. And somehow we got on the LOL dolls, which I know nothing about, but Rich did. So we talked about it, and that got a little bit of her energy going. We were able to go give her one the next time she was in clinic, and it was like giving her the biggest Christmas present, because we had listened to what she said, and then we had actually brought her something. So that would just be a way to get her talking to us. But the best day, when I knew that Kennedy was finally very comfortable with us, one of the nurses came to get me and said, Kennedy has something to tell you. And I was like, oh, awesome. And I go in there and she goes, they put the wrong football team on my story on the Ask site. Well, that's the most and longest sentence she'd ever said to me. And so I was floored and I just burst out laughing. And so she made a video saying that it wasn't the Auburn Tigers that she likes, it's Clemson Tigers. So do not make that mistake with her.
You guys put in Auburn Tigers instead of Clemson Tigers in our photos.
Tell them to fix it.
Every 28 days, she starts a completely different cycle of chemo with completely different drugs than she had before. So we didn't know from month to month what type of side effects she would have. One of the things that helped us a lot is Ask has a family support group, and we were able to talk to other parents with kids with ALL and ask, hey, delayed intensification, we know it's really bad, but what made it bad? And okay, your child had lots of nausea. What were some things that worked, either medicine-wise or comforting, that, just having other parents to talk to really helped. Kennedy went back to school 2 weeks ago after being out for about 7 months, and we didn't know how that was going to go, but Ask and Alma Morgan have prepared this special packet of questions to ask and a packet for her teacher and the vice principal as well.
It's so important that the entire school team has an idea of what that child has been through. We get around the table and we talk about the diagnosis, the treatment, the side effects of treatment, and what that child needs in order to have a successful transition back to school. A lot of the children who've been through treatment tell me, I hate going back to school because they ask me the same question day in and day out. Why do you have a hat? Where's your hair? How come you have to put on sunscreen when you go outside? How come you don't have to do all the schoolwork that I have to do? So it's educating them.
We felt like we didn't have to be so prepared because Ask was prepared for us. Ask also sponsors lots of activities for the kids where they get to see other kids that are going through the same thing. So they had a back to school night where all the kids got to go get book bags and then decorate t-shirts for the flying squirrels. And they were so excited showing their shirts off to the other kids and like who could do the coolest design. And then they got to walk out on the baseball field at the flying squirrels game and they just felt so special, but also so much part of a community, and that's where we get our community from too.
Yeah, I mean, both teams like that, on the first baseline, third baseline, clapping and all in the whole stadium, that's pretty, It's pretty, special to see the community and all, and Ask Foundation to be able to do stuff like that for people, families and all who are going through tough time.
They provided basically our own personal Santa, and we'd be the only person in the room with him at that time, and we could, the kids could ask questions and give them their wish list, and we weren't sure that something like that could happen, but Ask made it happen.
Yeah. Ask Foundation is there for you, and just know that you're not alone, and it's going to be okay. I mean, it's scary at first and all, but you'll get there.
There are 6 cycles of chemo for ALL, and the last one is maintenance. And at this point, they say we can go back to normal. She can go back to school, she can go back to gymnastics. She'll still be in treatment till July of 2023, but hopefully the hospital stays are over and the, unexpected blood transfusion should be over.
I mean, you just take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and just keep marching towards that date, and then you see where you're at, and hopefully you feel like you're already getting closer to being okay, hopefully everything, the worst is behind you, hope, and that's how you can be optimistic like that, okay, and just keep marching forward with it.